Hello everybody and welcome back to F1 23 with me, Dan, and the Slothz team as we come on to our home Grand Prix already, and what is the halfway point of the season. We're only doing the 16 races as opposed to the full one, just so we can get some stuff happening with the AI drivers. And it does mean that if I continue uploading about 2 videos per week from now on, which it will be going forward, except on special occasions, then we should be able to get to at least the end of Season 5, maybe even partially through Season 6 by the end of it. So we should have plenty of changes, hopefully a few drivers retire and start shifting around between the different teams. But for now, no changes. We've got a contract renegotiation going on actually for the next Grand Prix in Belgium, but so far no changes that I've noticed, at least anyway. And our teammate does in fact re-sign with us, Jack Doohan remaining with the team to see if he can score some points before the end of the season. So as we go through practice, just try to find as many of these development boosts that I can, which are actually going to work and allow me to get them. So far, picking up quite a few. We'll go for another 75 points, which we get. ERS, which we don't need, but we'll get anyway. Oh, and we fail that one. We'll try it again. Fail again. Fantastic. And with 4 minutes 40 left, we've run out of things to do, so we'll have to leave practice. But we are going to pick up this drag reduction upgrade as well. So then, our home Grand Prix, but of course, it's not going to be so easy as it was in the start of the season to pick up a win here in front of the home crowd, since we moved on to difficulty level 100 during the last Grand Prix. And we kind of slotted into a fairly realistic place on the grid compared to where we should be on the performance graph, at least, which is pretty much slap bang in the middle of the midfield, not too far back with the other teams, and not too far forward with the fastest teams. So anyway, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell as well, as we get on with the starting grid now here at our home race. And on pole position, we have George Russell and Lewis Hamilton on the front row, much to the delight of the home crowd. They will be followed by Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, Lance Stroll and Lando Norris. There I am in 9th alongside Esteban Ocon. Then we have Valtteri Bottas, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon and Nico Hulkenberg, Yuki Tsunoda and Zhou Guanyu, Fernando Alonso and Jack Doohan, Kevin Magnussen and Logan Sargent, and finally it's Oscar Piastri and Nick De Vries on the back row. A penalty for Alonso, not great for him, but I'm sure he'll be able to fight his way up the field fairly easily, as all of our metrics become Fahrenheit for no reason at all. We go down to the starting grid. There is Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. Quite a fast car actually this season, the Haas. Not quite enough to win a race or get a podium, but good enough. And there we are, looking at this lovely green livery. Try and keep that as long as possible, I think, on this game. Right then, here we go. We've got 2 of the 4 British drivers on the front row, and the other 2 at the bottom end of the top 10. Let's see how we get on here in Silverstone, and we're away here, sliding up the middle of a Red Bull and a Ferrari there, as everyone goes fighting through turn 1. I think we just hit the side of Charles Leclerc, possibly. Max Verstappen was somewhere on our right-hand side. I'm not sure where he is. There is someone going around the outside now. There's Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and he does get past this because he just is faster. Our car, quite good, but it does sit somewhere behind all the Ferraris, Red Bulls, Mercedes, and Aston Martin at the moment, which isn't ideal, but I suppose we're not really supposed to be a massively successful team at this stage. And as we come down towards Cops, no changes yet going on behind us, and we rejoin on lap 3. We're still being chased by Lance Stroll, but we've also got Verstappen behind us as well. DRS open. What can Stroll do here? We're going to follow him. Can he catch us here before the end of the lap? No, he's not got the speed. He's been overtaken by Max Verstappen, and he comes back onto the circuit, crashing into Lando Norris, wiping out one of the 4 British drivers here. The crowd are absolutely fuming at what's just gone down here. This is Norris's on board. Stroll comes back onto the circuit unsafely onto the racing line and drives off with Pace's McLaren going all over the place. The crowd getting more souvenirs than they bargained for this weekend as we watch the slow-mo yet again, and I'm going to keep including more of these because they're really fun to watch. Look at the pieces going absolutely everywhere. Suspension and wing damage all over the place. This was on board the Alpine, just to get another great angle of the hit-and-run collision that Lance Stroll just committed. So, safety car is out, fairly unsurprisingly. And what's everyone doing? Well, I say that most people have come into the pit lane. Verstappen has stayed out, and there was, I think, Carlos Sainz and Russell have stayed out as well, so they may be coming around again on the next lap to come into the pits. And we follow in what is essentially going to become the top 4, I think, depending on where everyone else can kind of slot into later on. There's a hideous pit crew with their bright purple overalls on. That I won't miss if we download some mods later on. We've got an issue with the front left there, and we're held up as more cars come piling out of their pit garages. We pull out into the anal arena of Valtteri Bottas and ghost him. Not really that helpful there as we rejoin at the end of the safety car. There's Max Verstappen, who's decided to come in at the worst possible moment in the Grand Prix. So that's his race over at this point. And we are away now with the green flag. This time we're actually being followed by the other Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. Somewhere up the order is Lance Stroll. He's right at the back. I think he may have just come into the pit lane. Either that or he somehow got held up by nearly everyone and was overtaken even by our teammates. As we come on to the Wellington Straight, we've got Fernando Alonso in hot pursuit. We're surrounded by cars on the medium tyre, which is really unhelpful at this part of the Grand Prix. And we're coming under threat from the Haas of Magnussen as well. One to watch out for, though. We've got Carlos Sainz behind us as well. And we know from trying to battle earlier on with Charles Leclerc that Sainz is not going to be messing around when it comes to trying to get past us. All we can do is hope that the medium tyre begins to wear out a little bit quick. On to lap 8, we've got a battle up ahead. That is Alonso trying to go around the outside of Valtteri Bottas, which may give us a bit of a help here and try to catch them. The proximity arrow is beginning to light up there as Carlos Sainz begins to get closer to our rear end. Through Cops go the Aston Martin and the Alfa Romeo. They are still side by side as we come down towards Maggots and Beckett's, but Bottas has yielded to the 2-time world champion. Hopefully cost himself enough time that we can actually close up here. We're not going to have DRS just yet. Here comes Carlos Sainz past us into the braking zone. Can we hang on to it? No, the Ferrari just has too much grip and goes around the outside. We've got a car broken down on the pit straight. That's Logan Sargent. And you can also see, looking at the very back of the mini-map, where Max Verstappen has ended up after his very well-timed pit stop. Valtteri Bottas still ahead of us, but not for long, it would seem, as he goes incredibly slowly through the Cops, Maggers and Beckett section. DRS is open, and there's absolutely no challenge there whatsoever. Alonso appears to be fighting with Carlos Sainz right now, and Alonso is winning. And we rejoin 1 lap later. We've got George Russell has fought his way through the field and is now right behind us as we panic, going all over the curves. Russell's going to try and make a move here. He's going to have DRS. We've got Sainz making a move on Alonso up ahead as well. Alonso has lost a position. George Russell goes round the outside of us. I'm going to try and hang on here, but the Mercedes is a far superior car to us. And no, we're not able to challenge him into club, unfortunately. But maybe later on, if we stay within DRS range, we may be able to challenge the Mercedes. Closing up on the pit straight. Nice to see. Through turn 1 we go. We'll stay on board for this. What could we do here? Sainz and Alonso potentially about to engage in another bout as well. And that will just help us and Russell catch up even quicker. Unfortunately, coming out of Village there, it is a little bit tough on us to try and catch up to the back of the Mercedes because acceleration for them is far easier, and you can see that he was able to escape. This is Pierre Gasly who's hanging on to third place, but not for long because here comes Sergio Perez as they come down towards the corner. Oh, and it's a lockup from Perez, and Alex Albon has taken advantage and put the Williams into third place. That's unbelievable as Pierre Gasly is either struggling with damage or a technical problem right now with Sergio Perez on his inside. They make contact as they come round onto lap 13. And Pierre Gasly just about hanging on, but this fighting is helping Alex Albon to accelerate away. We've got Alonso challenging Perez now. I think there is a tyre difference up there. Perez on the hard and everyone else on the medium. But variation in car superiority. The Alpine, of course, is not very good, especially compared to 4 of the 5 cars now following it. Although, having said that, I think we do have a better car than the Alpine. As we come down the Wellington straight, we've got Perez making a move up ahead. We're going to have a look round Russell. Gasly goes wide there, loses the position to Perez, who will now go and chase down the Williams. I cannot believe I'm saying this. And Pierre Gasly is really struggling now. He may have picked up more damage from the Red Bull. Alonso going up the inside into Copse. Makes the move, and I think he's got past. Russell goes slow as everyone tries to form up behind the Alpine. We're going to try it around the outside here. Bit of bumping and barging our way through, but we have taken a position away from Russell. And now Gasly's under severe pressure from Carlos Sainz. The Alpine does have DRS here as well from Alonso. But is it going to help him? Carlos Sainz goes round the outside and easily dispatches the Alpine as we come down towards the final few corners. Hard on the brakes we go and take away another position from Monsieur Gasly. Russell now trapped behind the Alpine. Thankfully, will buy some time. This is the onboard from Alex Albon. He sits patiently behind Perez and Gasly. Perez smashes the Alpine out of the way and helps the Williams get onto the podium. And this is our move on Russell here. You can see everyone gets really held up as Alonso gets past in Copse. And just helps us barge our way past. A bit of contact there with Russell, which didn't help matters too much. This is his onboard. I think he hit the sausage curb, which I don't know who decided that Silverstone needed sausage curbs that big, but they may as well have put a Mount Everest on the edge of every corner, because that is how ridiculous these sausage curbs have become. Absolutely not dangerous whatsoever. But I'll tell you who is in danger. Carlos Sainz. He's dropped our DRS range of the cars ahead, and we do have the most powerful power unit on the grid. And that combined with DRS and ERS, we managed to take a position away. He is trying to challenge it, but he's not able to get past just yet. Up ahead, Alonso was leading Perez. Perez is now back ahead. We've got 3 laps to go. Here comes Carlos Sainz. Unsurprisingly, is much faster than us when he has the DRS. We're going to try and fight this round the outside. He does run wide, but manages to collect it and get it under control. And so we'll have to try again in the same place. Can we keep as close as possible? Also behind George Russell, dropping back. Potentially the DRS train that Carlos Sainz and us are creating here, or I say leapfrogging each other, is definitely helping us propel ourselves forward away from George Russell and Esteban Ocon. Although at this point, of course, Esteban Ocon wasn't with the one with the issue. The Alpine of Gasly much further back as we go past Carlos Sainz again at the same point on the circuit. And yeah, just looking at the minimap, you can see Gasly all the way down outside the top 10 at this point, just being absolutely swamped by everybody. Such a shame. We've got 1 and a bit laps to go. Carlos Sainz is going to try it around the outside here. He's alongside us. We have to give him the space. And we're going to try and slot in behind the Ferrari and chase him down towards the hangar straight. As we come down the old pit straight, though, we're going to have a look up the inside into Cops just because it's interesting to do stuff like that. And we do get the move done. Carlos Sainz was remembering back to years gone of what could happen at that corner if it all goes wrong. Thankfully, it all went fine, and we're going to have to be chased down here by the Ferrari and George Russell, who's managed to catch up. Thankfully, Sainz is trying to protect himself from the Mercedes, but the Mercedes has gotten right up alongside Carlos Sainz, has taken away the position, and we know that George Russell qualified first here at the beginning of this race, so this is going to be a really stressful final lap, as we've got one car who's significantly faster and one car who is just much faster than us sitting right behind us, and we've got no DRS, and we're running the hard tyre, which is potentially still quite a bit slower than the medium. As we come round onto the Wellington straight, there's another ridiculous sausage curb. I don't know what's going on with the livery. It looks absolutely filthy right now, potentially from running up over the curves on the grass a little bit. Russell having a look. He's going to try it around the outside. We're going to squeeze him, but he's hanging on there, and he does get around the outside. We're going to try and hang on to him here and try and defend from Sainz at the same time. Esteban Ocon also ready to strike should something go wrong for either of us. And there's Alonso having another go at Perez again for the for 5th place. Alex Albon is still on the podium, thanks to the work of Fernando Alonso holding Perez up on multiple laps. And as we come through Maggots and Beckett's for the final time onto the Hanger Straight, we've got 2 faster cars potentially behind us and 1 in front of us. Russell does not have DRS, but will be emptying the battery on the final lap. And we're going to take a dive bomb up the inside, but it's not enough. Into the final few corners we go. We've managed to hang on to P7 at the very least. Carlos Sainz wasn't able to get past us in the end. Neither was Esteban Ocon. And we're going to come around the final corner and cross the line as we finish our home race with all 3 home drivers finishing in the top 10. Of course, Lando Norris DNF earlier on in the race, thanks to the work of Lance Stroll, who I believe also picked up a penalty quite rightly as well. There's the race winner. Lewis Hamilton celebrates with somehow a Williams. Alex Albon put it up there, took advantage of the safety car and the varying strategies, and picks up, I think, potentially the only Williams podium that we've ever seen in a single-player career mode. The closest we've had was Nicholas Latifi on 2021, who managed to put his Williams into the top 5 in Italy, I believe it was. And here we are then. Lewis Hamilton picked up the win. Charles Leclerc came second with the fastest lap. And Alex Albon for Williams picks up the final spot on the podium. They're followed by Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez, George Russell, Radiant Slothz, Carlos Sainz, Esteban Ocon and Kevin Magnussen. So over in the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen remains at the top of the table, ahead of us by 13 points. So we're somehow still in second. Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris, and now Alex Albon make up the top 10. Behind us, we have Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon on 13 points apiece, then Yuki Tsunoda, then Oscar Piastri and Lance Stroll on 10 points apiece. Joint 16th, Nico Hülkenberg and Valtteri Bottas. Kevin Magnussen and Joe Guan Yu makes up the final point scorer, followed by Nick De Vries, Jack Doohan, and Logan Sargent. And finally, over to the constructors. Red Bull are still ahead of Ferrari at the top of the table and also ahead of Mercedes, but it is fairly close between the 3. Then we have Slothz taking 4th, a little bit ahead of Aston Martin, McLaren, Alpine, Williams up to 8th, and AlphaTauri, Haas, and Alfa Romeo rounds up the order. And that's all for this race, and we'll catch you next time for Belgium.